Welcome to The Citizen and the Gentleman News. In this week's news, we don't have any groundbreaking news at first glance, but on closer inspection, it looks a bit different. First, we look at push and pull, which sounds less spectacular than docking mechanics or big new ships, but behind that is more of a core mechanic that acts as a foundation for further content and mechanics. Because the core mechanic this week is about ground combat, which is everything we need for theaters of war and also in wide areas for Squadron 42. Because not only on the roadmap for this year are many points that revolve around ground combat and the associated areas, no, also new vehicles and ships such as the battle tank or the necessary transport ships are already inside with the version 3.13. And of course, it fits very well that we get to see mobile guns, which are essential for fighting armored targets in ground combat. This is precisely the area where a minimum of variability is needed to enable balance in this area. This is where multiplayer shooters like the Battlefield series are a good template. All through, here we also fight on foot, with vehicles and in the air. And with this focus on ground combat, the current developments such as the transportable and stationable guns are only a logical progression. And further, in keeping with the theme, is the expansion of the force reaction system, which, while not only playing a role on the ground, can also be directly related to it. This expands the underlying physics simulation, which affects objects like our character accordingly due to the simulated physical forces. Another important step towards immersion and realism. At the next announcement, I had to laugh at first, because I definitely didn't expect a platform truck, which was already in use in ancient Greece in this form. At least a hover version or a somewhat more futuristic design would definitely have been within the realm of possibility here. However, here again there is much more background than suspected at first glance, because with these antique wheelbarrows, the theme of physical transportation of cargo begins in what is initially the smallest form. Because that cargo, even for giants like the soon-to-be-released Starlifter series, will be physically transported in the medium term, has been known for quite some time. And depending on the cargo size, the SCU variations used, we will then need different transport options for this. Also in the Zenith Ready end, we have already made direct acquaintance with new cargo materials here, which we can also expect soon in the game and have their respective properties. If you want to know more about this, take a look at the linked Zenith Red Guide Part 1, in which we explained the new cargo types in detail. And getting back to the ground combat, our new Stationable guns will of course need to be transportable, thus I don't expect we'll be hobbling around the battlefield with these retro carts. But we come to the second part. The docking mechanics already announced in the last news, we see here already in a more advanced stage. Graphically, much more advanced and apparently close to completion. So it shouldn't take much longer until we can enter the docking arms and, in the truest sense, take a few steps further towards immersion. On the ground, we have the usual graphical enhancements and improvements to the planets and moons, as well as new content for the various biomes, such as a fruit here. Existing surface textures and further expanded and thus receive more and more diversity and credibility. This also creates a believable environment which fits the respective setting, such as deserts, ice planets or rather Mediterranean regions. However, This is not a real noticeable expansion, but rather current product maintenance. Still nice to look at, and a good sign that no area development is neglected. Even more interesting are further details about the ground structures that are already in active development. These are planned in different variations and design languages. The state of development seems to be progressing steadily here, as not only rough structures are being designed, but also necessary infrastructure elements such as various power supplies, distributors, solar panels or a water supply. And with garages for vehicles, landing pads and interiors, we are not only getting closer to a base construction for a home for our alter egos and corporations, no, again we are back to ground combat and the necessary ground structures for this. Our vehicles, weapons and troops must spawn somewhere, be repaired and have their use. We need cover in combat, possibilities for tactical maneuvers, different combat levels, and of course some kind of map design to be able to direct the game flow from the developer's side. Therefore, we get to see more and more details, which include exactly these areas and make them possible. Because even if Star Citizen has newly developed and created many game elements and mechanics, in multiplayer combat, on the ground or combination with vehicles, there are already considerable standards and elements that are simply a must. And since structures and the associated facilities and elements are necessary for different areas of development, several goals are thus filled with it or brought within direct reach. And finally, another mechanic which we do not need only on the ground, but seems essential for it: the medical gameplay. We got to see the first moving images of the hospitals and clinics under development. The clinic located on New Babbage is one of several that will be present on each main planet and will be the basis for the medical gameplay. Because this medical gameplay will have quite significant effects on Star Citizen in general. Not only on the game mechanics, but on every single area of the game and also on the external impact in the gaming landscape. And with the very atmospheric crash site of a capital ship, which has been transformed into a habitat, we can see what to expect in the future. Here, discoveries, conflicts and industrial aspects are literally imposing themselves, which I would very much like to experience myself soon. Here, Star Citizen again shows its almost limitless potential to create different moods and areas that seem coherent and a whole, but still tell a story all their own. But I would be interested in your opinions and comments on the topic, either directly under the video or in our Discord. And should you still be looking for like-minded people who would want to travel through the verse, experience discoveries or go into battle, then check out the Royal Retirement Lounge. We are an adult and absolutely relaxed community of players who want to enjoy the verse, and we are looking for an English community manager. I say goodbye until next time, and as always, see you in the verse.